everybody. First, thanks for watching. I know there are a lot of videos out there and I appreciate you clicking on this one. Now this pattern tonight is called Patriot Caddis. I will explain the materials as I go and put the recipe in the description. First off, I got a size 12 barbless 1X long dry fly hook. And I am using 12/0 black UTC thread. Pretty light stuff. Could probably use some 8/0 on this one. Might make it a little easier, but I've been tying them with 12 and it's working okay. So take your thread back to the start of the bend. Get about 4 strands of crystal flash. Now I'm using a rainbow color here, and one of those is not binding. So okay, so 4 strands. You could use fewer if your crystal flash is thicker. This is some really thin stuff, so 4 works well. It's a 3-part body. It's a little bit of this flash and a little bit of red floss, almost like some of the royal flies, and then more of this flash before we get to the wing and the hackle. So probably about 3 or 4 millimeters of this right here, and before I bring my thread back to where I want to tie it in. Now we'll snip this off. You could leave it, that would just make it a little harder to wrap your red floss. So grab about 6-8 inches, however much you need to wrap the middle of this fly right here, middle of this body. And I'm going to also trim that off. Now with this red floss, you might want to spin it a little bit, get it a little bit tighter of a rope. It's okay if it lays flat on you. Just try to get it smooth looking. I'm sure the fish don't care, but fly tyers like them to be pretty. And if this floss starts splaying out, some of the fibers are getting loose on you there, just give it a little clockwise spin in your fingers and make it a little tighter rope. Okay, and it's about enough right there, so a couple wraps to secure that. Let's go ahead and get that trimmed off. I got a couple of scragglies right there. Okay, now that same crystal flash we were using just a minute ago, catch that in right in front of your red floss. Okay, take it back to about right there is good. Go ahead and trim these off. Now the same thing, just give it a little spin. I'm spinning it right now. See that? Just tighten it, make it a little tighter, and so they won't spread out on you as you wrap. And then about the same size you put in the back, another 3 or 4 millimeters here. And not to cut my thread there, that happens from time to time. Okay, so the next component is the wing. White calf tail. Now, the fly in the pattern Encyclopedia has a pretty bushy tail. I tied a few of them bushy and then a few of them a little more sparse, and I think the sparse looks a little bit better. I mean, that's still a pretty big clump right there for a size 12. Now what I'll do with these, I will try to, you can't put this stuff in a hair stacker, it just won't. So I'll try to pull out the really long ones, any that are too askew. You can trim them if you want. and I might end up trimming some of these on the end, at the end. So lay down, well first let's get your thread where we want to tie it in. So a little bit back onto that front part of the body. Now a little bit past the bend of the hook. I'll do a little medium tight pinch wrap here and then hit my second one a little bit tighter. Just try to keep it from spinning around on the hook up here. So if you got it where you like, situated on top, then a couple of tight wraps there. And I think that will look just fine. Now, you do want to make sure you've really got this secured here before you trim the front end off. Otherwise, it might spin on you. Just the scissors cutting on it could cause it to spin. So. Now I'll try to bury this in. I'll go back up to the eye. Now I'm going to try to trim these just a little bit closer. Some of these are, I don't know if I can get that much closer. So I'll bring my thread back up to the eye and then try to ramp it back up. I'm trying to just lay a flat base where we're going to put the brown dry fly rooster hackle on here. So get you a just standard dry fly brown hackle that match the size of your hook. It's pretty bushy hackle on here, so 5 or 6 wraps if you can get them will look good. So let's catch this in along the top and take your thread back to the eye. Okay, now just start wrapping this. I don't even try to preen them back on this dry fly hackle. I just try to make sure each wrap goes in front of the last wrap. Now take your time here. I believe that's 5 wraps. That's pretty bushy. So zigzag that through there a couple of times to catch this in. Snip the end of that feather off. I might have to trim some of that wing here in just a second, but just want to preen these back a little bit. I'm not trying to have the hackle angled back. I'm just trying to get it back so I can create a little bit of a head here and have room for the whip finish. So you still want the hackles just splaying way out there. So that is probably enough room to get my whip finish in. Be a little bit careful here. You might have to go slow so you don't trap too many fibers when you're getting these wraps in. So 3 or 4 turns should do it. And snip your thread. Now let's see. I'm going to trim some of these really long ones off on the back here. Don't want it to be too flat, but so I think there we have it. The Patriot Caddis, tied by Gretchen Beatty. A pretty fun pattern to tie, not too difficult. It does take a little bit of time though. But anyway, if you've watched this far, I really appreciate it. I know I'm looking at the analytics, a lot of my views, people aren't watching all the way through. So anyway, if you did, I do appreciate it. I'm trying to do 2 or 3 videos a week. So if you subscribe, that would certainly help me out. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching.